Hey. Hey, are you okay? Frank! Frank, there's someone hurt down here! Get someone on that radio! Take it easy. I got you. Don't try to move. Are you hurt?
Looking at all the games we have out there in the market, it is easy to point out the ones that have successfully delivered an archetypal fantasy. Ninjas, relic hunters, spacefarers, you name it. However, one archetype that hasn't shown in the video game space is that of vampires. Still, Vampire the Masquerade has been among the few that let you live in the edgy shoes of a deadly night creature, and while the first one had its flaws, it became a cult classic that many of us ended up loving. Unfortunately, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 drives a stake through its heart, delivering an uninspiring action RPG that only manages to stay afloat thanks to its compelling narrative.
Busy night. Cops, ghouls, detectives, mysterious flying strangers. All we need now is a full-on musical number.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 kicks off with the player assuming control of the Nomad, also known as Fire, an elder vampire who took a 100-year-long nap and woke up in modern-day Seattle. However, there's a catch, and that catch is a detective inside your head who, for reasons I cannot spoil, ended up fusing his consciousness with that of the playable protagonist, thus creating an unlikely duo of edgy elder vampire and noir detective. You can think of Johnny Silverhand inside VE but with fewer insults and more crime solving.
My buddy Dale had body image problems. That's how he put it.
While I have many issues with Bloodlines 2, the story isn't a major one. It begins as your typical how did we end up in this situation, but it quickly evolves into a whodunit plot. All the characters are fleshed out and the world building behind the vampire underworld of Seattle is terrific. Even if you didn't play the first game, you will enjoy this narrative because it eases you into a convoluted tale of clans in conflict, masquerade breaches, and other character-driven mysteries that more often than not made my jaw drop. However, it isn't without its faults, as one of the biggest issues with the game is its presentation. The big narrative and cinematic moments are excellent, yet the parts leading up to them often prove to be a blunder in many ways, unfortunately.
Unless... how do I know I can trust you?
For instance, the game heavily employs a flashback narrative. You have several playable segments where you take control of Detective Fabian before he fuses with you. Here, you're supposed to live the fantasy of a vampire detective. Instead of struggling to get information out of a suspect, you can just speak into their mind or even talk to an object to get clues. However, most aspects are guided and don't really encourage you to go off the beaten path to see if there's another piece of information you missed for the case. While having vampire powers makes everything a breeze, I would have loved to see the sequences lean a bit more into the investigation part, as reaching the end of a flashback didn't feel so rewarding since the game often gave me everything on a silver platter. This type of design is a recurring theme throughout the game. It is a sad case where point A and point C are great, but the journey to them is sustained by dull gameplay moments and a few technical issues. Still, Bloodlines 2 deserves some credit because there are many player-driven moments that affect the narrative, and I am very curious to see how things would have played out if I had chosen something different. Sadly, its gameplay is one of the things that will put me off from stepping back into the shoes of this elder vampire for a second time.
Only a matter of time. Damn it! Help me out! Ready for this?
Combat is one of the things that frustrated me the most throughout my gameplay. You have a first-person perspective that lets you see how you punch and claw your enemies mercilessly. Since it is a first-person perspective, you can dodge or parry attacks and also use telekinesis to throw stuff at enemies. Your protagonist can also use 4 abilities determined by the clan they pick. Each clan gives you 4 active abilities and 2 passive ones that change how your character plays. At first, you will only be able to unlock your clan abilities just by leveling up. However, you can also spend blood points at different clan representatives to unlock abilities from their skill trees. Bloodlines 2 definitely leans into the power fantasy of a badass vampire that can punch your heart out and bite you from the shadows before gliding to the next roof and throwing a gas tank at you. Unfortunately, it suffers from stuttery fights, a lack of enemy variety, and annoying camera movement. At one point, I had to decrease the difficulty because I was struggling not against the enemies, but against the technical issues that made each fight a hassle. Since Bloodlines 2 calls itself an action RPG, I was expecting more RPG elements in the combat or equipment. Sadly, outfits are purely cosmetic and you can unlock them only by acquiring new skills, which is a very strange design choice. Frankly, I was expecting Bloodlines 2 to feel more like Dishonored, but it didn't even reach the depth of that game at all. Still, if you're looking for a more action-oriented game without worrying too much about stats or skill points, you might find some enjoyment here.
Huh. Anarch's up ahead. You're being bold tonight.
In terms of design, the city certainly looks great. The lighting is impressive and the snowy streets add to the noir crime feeling that is so persistent throughout the whole story. Unfortunately, performance woes made all of my excitement fade away because walking around Seattle is full of technical problems. There wasn't a single instance during my exterior exploration where I didn't encounter some form of a stutter. Every single step that I took, whether as a Fabian or Fire, dropped my frames regardless of the street or rooftop I was on. Add to that some texture popping issues and it detracts from the beauty of this snowy city. Transitions from interior to exterior areas aren't that smooth either, as many of them caused my PS5 to crash. Fortunately, most of the game's crucial moments took place indoors and those ran at a smooth 60 FPS without a single issue. It is really sad because the design behind the streets of Seattle is fantastic and it really immerses you in that murder mystery fantasy as you go from one dark place to the next. Still, the technical issues are numerous and quite distracting to say the least. Hopefully they will get fixed before the other DLCs launch because there's a lot of potential in this city.
Anywho, our Ryong has a few Anarch runts upstairs trying to work out why/when/how they managed to murk a prince. If that's what happened. Fun times, huh?
Overall, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is a mixed bag of several features that never end up shining as they should. The story, though terrific and well written with great characters, is marred by uninspiring gameplay moments in between. Often, it made me feel like the game would have been better if it were told like The Wolf Among Us, where the plot is the sole focus. Its gameplay, while flashy, suffers from frustrating design choices and numerous technical issues. Still, there is room for enjoyment there for those who want a story-driven experience and an edgy power vampire fantasy, assuming they are willing to put all the aforementioned problems aside. But if you are expecting a deep RPG with several build options and impactful combat, you sadly won't find that here. But since there is more content coming, there is hope that this vampire thriller eventually emerges victorious from its coffin. For that reason, we score Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 with a 7 out of 10. Remember to like and subscribe and visit thenerdstash.com for more game reviews.